Greetings dear children. In this video, we will be learning Shakespeare's Julius Caesar Act 2 Scene 1. Let's look at the summary of the scene which we are covering in this video. Brutus is in his orchard. It is night and he calls impatiently for his servant Lucius and sends him to light a candle in his study. When Lucius has gone, Brutus speaks one of the most important and controversial soliloquies in the play. He says that he has no personal cause to spurn at Caesar, except for the general, meaning that there are general reasons for the public good. Thus, so far, Caesar has seemingly been as virtuous as any other man, but Brutus fears that after he is augmented, means crowned, power is increased, his character will change. For it is in the nature of things that power produces tyranny, a tyrant king. He therefore decides to agree to Caesar's assassination, to think him as a serpent's egg, consider him as serpent's egg, which hatched would as his kind grow poisonous, and it's better to kill him in the shell. Lucius re-enters and gives Brutus a letter that has been thrown into his window. The various conspirators, Cassius, Casca, Decius, Cinna, Metellus, and Trebonius arrive, and Brutus appears as public figure surrounded by men concerned in the affairs of Rome. The scene shifts to Brutus' orchard. We see Brutus is alone in the garden in the middle of the night, unable to sleep, calling his servant Lucius to bring him a taper so that he can read in his study. What Lucius? Ho. Aside. Aside is a dramatic device in which a character speaks to the audience. I cannot by the progress of the stars give guess how near to day. Judging from the position of the stars, Brutus cannot make out how close to dawn the time is. He calls, Lucius, I say, I would, it were my fault to sleep so soundly. Brutus expresses his wish to sleep as soundly as Lucius can. He tries to awaken Lucius. When, Lucius? When? Awake, I say. When are you coming, Lucius? Wake up. Wake up, I say. Lucius. Enter Lucius. Who is Lucius? Servant to Brutus. Did you call me, sir? Then Brutus gives an instruction to Lucius. Get me a taper in my study. Lucius, when it is lighted, come and call me here. Bring a candle into my study and come and call me after you have lit it. Once it is lit, once the candle is lit, Lucius should inform Brutus about it. Lucius said, yes, I will, my lord. Lucius exits the stage and Brutus gives way to his troubled thoughts through a soliloquy, which means a speech in the play that the character speaks to himself or herself or to the people watching rather than to other characters. It must be by his death, and for my part, I know no personal cause to spurn at him, but for the general. It must be by his death, indicating that Brutus made up his mind that Rome can only be set free by Caesar's death. And he says that, I know no personal cause to spurn at him. Brutus doesn't have any personal cause or a reason to attack Caesar but for the general, except for the common good of Rome. He does it for the common good of Rome. He would be crowned how that might change his nature. That's the question. Caesar wants to be crowned, and Brutus says that the question is how that might change his nature. That here refers to crowning. Brutus believes that Caesar's power will corrupt his moral character, and he sees danger in allowing Caesar to become an authoritarian ruler. And further, he compares it is the bright day that brings forth the adder and that craves very walking. And that danger, he says that danger is expressed by referring to the bright day and the adder, because Brutus feels that just like the snake adder comes out during bright sunshine to hunt for food, the crowning of Caesar appears to be a bright, happy occasion. But when we crown him, what happens? Actually going to lead to the loss of freedom of the people of Rome. The comparison is, it is still walking. Crown him that, and then I grant we put a sting in him that at his will he may do danger with. Crown him. If we crown him the king, I agree, I grant. We put a sting in him means we give him authority to harm us, that at his will he may do danger with, at his own wish. Whenever he wants to harm us, he can. And we are giving the authority to Caesar to harm us. How? By crowning him. The abuse of greatness is when it disjoins remorse from power, which means greatness is misused when a man only knows to use his power without any sense of kindness in his heart. Disjoins remorse from power means there is no compassion. When he gets power, he misuses the greatness without having compassion to the people of Rome, without showing kindness to the people of Rome. Thus he misuses it. And to speak truth of Caesar means speaking truthfully about Caesar. I have not known when his affections swayed more than his reason. I have no knowledge. Brutus is sure he doesn't have any knowledge whether sometimes Caesar's feelings of kindness were stranger than his reasons for punishing people. He doesn't have any knowledge about it. He says that, but it is a common proof. It's a well-known fact that lowliness is young ambition's ladder, where to the climber upward turns his face, but when he once attains the upmost round, he then unto the ladder turns his back, looks in the clouds, scorning the base degrees by which he did ascend. So here Brutus gives an example that Caesar, once he gains power, it affects or it corrupts his character. He may change. This is the example. What example does Brutus give to prove that Caesar may change? That lowliness is young ambition's ladder. That lowliness is young ambition's ladder, here it refers to the humility serves as a ladder for an ambitious man like Caesar to rise to a powerful position. He details that comparison further. Where to climber upward turns his face. He tells that The ambitious person who climbs up in power continues to behave humbly, just like the person who climbs up the ladder keeps facing the ladder, means being very humble, kind to the people of Rome, that means facing the ladder. But he turns his back on the ladder the moment he reaches the topmost rung. Once he reaches the position, when he gains power, then he looks up to the clouds, blinded by the power. He looks up to the clouds, disregarding the lower steps by which he climbed, scorning the base degrees by which he did ascend, rejecting the good quality of humility which helped him to climb up like the ladder. So Caesar may change in future if we crown him as a king. Here Brutus expresses an extreme horror idea of kingship here. And since the coral, he tells, will bear no color for the thing he is, fashion it thus. As it is told earlier, the abuse of greatness when it disjoins remorse from power, means the greatness of power is misused when the person in power uses it without compassion and kindness. Further, Brutus said that he doesn't have any knowledge that when Caesar's feelings overruled his reason. There is no evidence. Here he expresses the same opinion. Since the coral will bear no color for the thing he is, means Caesar's behavior has always been reasonable. So, the killing or the assassination of Caesar cannot be justified on the basis of his current behavior. Then too, we have to fashion it thus. We have to put it in this way. Once he gains power, it affects or it corrupts his character, moral character. He may forget the steps which he has used to reach to the position or gains power. That what he is augmented would run into these and these extremities. Once he gains power, then he becomes a tyrant. Caesar may behave in the same way, and so what we should do? We should prevent him from being given power so that he does not misuse his authority. And there is no complaint so far. Caesar cannot be justified by the way he is behaving at present. We have to interpret it this way. With power and influence, augmented means if it is increased, how it is increased? By crowning him. When it is increased, what happens? He would misuse the power. If he was given extra power, given any more, the maximum is crowning him. Therefore, he must be considered as a serpent's egg. If his power got augmented, he would become a tyrant. And what will be the consequence if he becomes a tyrant? He would enslave the people of Rome. So we should stop it, prevent it, and consider him as a serpent's egg. Serpent's egg, what happens when it hatches? It grows poisonous. We should not allow this serpent to grow. Means we should not allow Caesar to become king. Before that, should be killed in the shell itself. He must be killed when he is still in the egg shell before being given any further power. This is the decision taken by Brutus, or the justification given by Brutus. Re-enter Lucius. He comes back. The taper burneth in your closet, sir. Searching the window for a flint, I found this paper thus sealed up, and I am sure this paper thus sealed up, it did not lie there when I went to bed. The taper burneth in your closet. The candle is burning in your study. And while searching the window sill for a hard stone to light a fire with, Lucius found a paper fastened in such a way, and he is very certain that it was not there when he went to bed the previous night. And I hope you remember who has sent the letter and what was the motive behind it. In the previous scene, we have seen that Cassius instructs Cinna to keep the letters in order to incite Brutus so that he goes against Julius Caesar. That's the reason Lucius says that when he went to bed, it was not there. Though these letters have appeared so mysteriously in his house, Brutus' house, and tells him exactly what he wants to hear. It's already informed. Caesar's ambition will be hinted at in the letter, and how people consider Brutus as such an honorable person will save Romans from the clutches of Caesar. The content of the letter. But Brutus never questions its authenticity, that we can see. How it has come to his house. He never questions. And Lucius hands over the letter to Brutus. Brutus tells Lucius, get you to bed again. It is not day. And he asks a question. Is not tomorrow, boy, the Ides of March? Go back to bed. It's not morning. It's not dawn yet. And the question is not tomorrow the Ides of March, 15th of March? Lucius doesn't know. He said, no, I know not, sir. I don't know, sir. Brutus asked him to look up the calendar and inform Brutus whether it is the Ides of March the following day. So as per the instruction by Brutus, Lucius has gone to check in the calendar whether the following day is the Ides of March. Brutus is about to read the letter and he says that the exhalations whizzing in the air give so much light that I may read by them. The exhalations here, it refers to the meteors and the lightning which is hissing in the sky produce so much light that he is able to read the letter due to that light. But there is a symbolic meaning on these meteors which is linked to death and disaster, particularly in connection with the portents before the death of Julius Caesar. The meteor shower and the storm are important to this play because they signify danger and drama to come with Caesar's assassination. Here we see Brutus opens the letter and starts reading it. The question comes, what is the content of the letter? Here it is. Brutus, thou sleepest, awake and see thyself. Brutus, are you sleeping? Wake up, look at yourself. Shall Rome, etc. Then speak, strike, redress. Will Rome, then it is incomplete. After that, speak, then act, strike, and redress. Put right the wrong things which is happening here. Redress means a restoration of Roman Republic. You should awake, you should act, and you should restore the Roman Republic. Brutus, are you sleeping? Awake, where I have took them up. Such instigations have been often dropped. Such instigations, here it refers to such letters urging Brutus to take action, have often been dropped in places wherein Brutus have already picked them. Here we should remember it's done by Cassius. The master brain is Cassius. So Brutus remembers, this is not the first time I have seen this kind of letter wherein the letter is urging Brutus to act, strike, speak, strike, and redress. This is not the first time. He has come across such kind of situation and he has seen such kind of letters which have often been dropped in places and he had picked them up and read the content. Shall Rome, etc. Thus must I piece it out? I must fill the gaps in the following manner. So what's the following manner? Shall Rome stand under one man's awe? Will Rome stand in respect, fear, and wonder of only one man? Should I fill in this way? What Rome, of all places? What Rome? My ancestors did from the streets of Rome the Tarquin drive when he was called a king. So here he remembers his forefather, his ancestor, the great ancestor Lucius Junius Brutus drove the tyrannical ruler, the Tarquin, the proud, away from Rome when he was called a king, and his ancestor Lucius Junius Brutus has driven him away from Rome. Speak, strike, redress, speak, act, and restore the Roman Republic. Again, he repeats the content of the letter, the three keywords there. Am I entreated? Now he questions himself. He asks a question to himself. Am I entreated to speak and strike? Am I asked, requested? Am I requested to speak and to act and strike? O Rome, I promise to you. I make the promise. I promise you. If the redress will follow, redress here refers means if the strike would result in the restoration of republic, then thou receivest, you are going to receive, Rome, you are going to receive thy full petition at the hand of Brutus. If the wrong could be put right, then I'll receive the whole of your request. Here we see Brutus is promising. I will give you everything you are asking for, Rome, from my own hands. Here he tells the last two lines. If the redress will follow, thou receivest thy full petition at the hand of Brutus. If things can be set right as a result of Brutus speaking and Brutus striking, then Rome shall be granted her request at the hands of Brutus. He gives promise to Rome. Lucius has come back after looking at the calendar, confirming that the following day is the Ides of March. When he enters, they could hear somebody knocking at the door. Brutus asked Lucius to go to the gate and check who is there, since somebody is knocking at the door. Lucius exits and Brutus speaks. It's an example of soliloquy. Since Cassius first did wet me against Caesar, I have not slept. He tells that ever since Cassius has instigated Brutus, wet like a sharpening, one would sharpen the knife, make it more sharp. Instigated Brutus against Caesar, he couldn't sleep properly. Now we get to know the reason why Brutus was unable to sleep. The beginning of the scene, Brutus expressed his wish that he could sleep as soundly as Lucius. Further, he details the reason why he couldn't sleep. Between the acting of a dreadful thing and the first motion, all the interim is like a phantasma or a hideous dream. Here he tells that between the acting, that means the time interval, the interval between the first impulse to do dreadful thing, means murder, and the first action executing it, the performance of the deed, the interval, the time interval is like a nightmare or a horrid dream. He tells her that. Now we get to know the reason. He is unable to sleep. Already Cassius has instigated wet Brutus against Caesar. Till the dreadful thing is executed, he will not be able to sleep. Further, he details the condition, his condition of Brutus. The genius and the model instruments are then in council. Ever since he has instigated with the thought of assassinating Caesar, his genius, that means the immortal spirit, and the mortal instruments, the mortal body, are debating with opposing views. And the present condition of Brutus, he is comparing it to that of a little kingdom wherein a civil war is going on and the whole kingdom is disturbed. His body is compared to that of a little kingdom, and in that body his mind and the body is at war, having opposing views. That is, in council means debating, having opposing views. Becomes so disturbed, Brutus is so disturbed as if a civil war is going on inside the mind as well as inside the kingdom. Re-enter Lucius. Lucius comes back. Sir, it is your brother Cassius at the door, who did desire to see you, wanted to meet you. Brutus, is he alone? Has Cassius come alone? Lucius said, no, there are others with him. Do you know them? No, sir. Why Lucius couldn't recognize the people who have come along with Cassius? The reason is their hats are plucked about their ears. Hats are pulled down over their ears. And half their faces buried in their cloaks. Half of their faces are hidden in their cloaks, that by no means I may discover them by any mark of favor. So much it was covered that he couldn't identify them by any distinctive feature. Brutus asked Lucius to allow them to enter inside. Let them enter. Lucius goes out and Brutus speaks here. They are the faction. Here refers to the conspirators. O conspiracy, shamest thou you to show thy dangerous brow by night when evils are most free? O conspiracy, are you ashamed to reveal your evil face even at night time when evil creatures can move about absolutely free? Are you ashamed to show your face? If this is the case, nighttime you are covering your face, you are ashamed to show your face, then what will you do? He's asking, what will you do? Where will you find a cave dark enough to cover your monstrous visage during the day? What will you do? How are you going to cover your face? Seek none. Don't search a cave to hide your face. Conspiracy. Brutus is going to give a solution. Hide it in smiles and affability. Do not search for any such cave. Conspiracy. Hide your unnatural face in smiles and friendliness. Otherwise, if thou part thy native semblance on, not Erebus itself were dim enough to hide thee from prevention. Otherwise, if you do not put on smile and friendliness on your face, if you do not put this on your face and walk around with your natural face, not even the Erebus, underworld, or hell could be dark enough to hide you from being detected and stopped. Brutus here feels that the fact the visitors are hiding their faces makes their intent seem sinister. He does not approve of sneaking around, and he thinks that looking sinister make them appear all more sinister. He notes that if they must hide their faces at night, what will they do in the light of the day? So the solution given by Brutus is they should hide their intent behind smiles and friendliness rather than covering it with hats or their cloaks. The conspirators enters. Who are the conspirators? Cassius, Casca, Decius Brutus, Cinna, Metellus Cinna, and Trebonius. Cassius. Good morrow, Brutus. Do we trouble you? I think we are too bold upon your rest. We are too bold to wake you up at this time. And he asked, have we troubled you? Troubled your sleep? Brutus replied, I have been up this hour awake all night. Already it is informed to us that he couldn't sleep properly. He was not sleeping. And he says that I have been up for an hour, having been awake all night. And he asked, may I know these men who have come along with you? Then Cassius is going to introduce each one of them. Before that, he tried to flatter Brutus by telling that, yes, every man of them, every one of them, and no man here, nobody is here but honors you. Who doesn't honor you? That means everyone honors Brutus. And everyone everyone wishes that you had but that opinion of yourself which every noble Roman bears of you. He tells that everyone wishes that Brutus had the opinion of himself like every noble Roman has about Brutus, the same opinion. And he introduces one by one. This is Trebonius. Yes, he is welcome here. Cassius introduces the next conspirator. Decius Brutus. Yes, he is welcome too. I welcome him. Cassius introduces the other conspirators. This is Casca, Cinna, Metellus Cinna. Brutus welcomed everyone and he asks a question to the conspirators. What watchful cares do interpose themselves between your eyes and night? What worries that keep you awake from sleep, prevent you from sleeping? What is that worries which is standing in between your eyes and the night, that means prevent you from sleeping? So Cassius interferes and he asked Brutus that he wanted to speak to Brutus privately. Shall I entreat a word? Could I have a private word with you? And they move aside. Brutus and Cassius whisper, wherein the other characters and the audience do not know what they say, what they speak. And the other characters engaged in a talk. Decius Brutus begins. Pointing towards a direction, he says that, yes, here lies the east. And he asks a question, doth not the day break here? Does the day not break from here? Casca disagreed, no, that's not east. Cinna agreed, yes, excuse me, it doth, yes. The day breaks from that side, that is the eastern direction. Yes, it does. And what proof does he give? Yon over there, the grey lines that fret the clouds are the messengers of the day. Those grey lines over there which adorns the clouds are the messengers of the day. Cinna sees the clouds as a brows lined with worry over the events of the coming day. Those grey lines in the clouds that look like frets on a violin which signals the rising sun. Casca speaks, you shall confess that you both are deceived. You must confess that you both are wrong. No, that's not east. The direction which you are pointing, that's not east. And Casca points his sword and he tells that where I point my sword, he is pointing a particular direction, and he tells that where I point my sword, the sun arises, which is a great way growing on the south, weighing the youthful season of the year. Casca points with his sword towards the east at the capital, where Caesar will soon be assassinated. That is one interpretation. The second one is, he says that where he points his sword, the sun rises. It's quite near the south since it is still winter, weighing the youthful season of the year. It's quite near the south since it is still winter. And what happens after 2 months? From now, about 2 months from now, the dawn will break, morning will break further towards the north, and due east is where the capital stands here. He says that where he points his sword, the sun rises. Way over towards the south, since it is so early in the year, 2 months from now, the light of the dawn will break a good deal further towards north. Due east is where the capital stands, right here. Hear this conversation that follows after Brutus and Cassius move aside to have some word privately. We see the remaining characters, Decius, Casca, Cinna, serves to keep the audience occupied while Cassius and Brutus carry on their private conversation.